everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. This week's episode is entitled The Ol' One and Done. Have you ever wondered where Smash Mouth would have been if they had more than one all-star track? Trevor does all the time. He has shed 96 tears over it before. In the gaming world, we have seen some games that could have been the next Barbie girl-styled takeover franchise, but it just didn't find its seasons in the sun. What caused this tainted love for the games? And what games do we think could use a second chance to deliver us some afternoon delight? Boo! Join us as we jump around the games that didn't quite get its due, leaving us wondering if and when there will be more. Thanks for all those one-hit wonders, Daryl.
Those are fantastic. First, I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Where's he going with this?
I found a list of the 100 best one-hit wonder songs, and I was like, "How many can I put into the intro of this?" And trust me, I could add more, but we would have the longest intro to an episode ever.
Just listing songs.
That just ends up being my Pokemon pun podcast episode.
I was like, how can I incorporate Who Let the Dogs Out into this?
All right, so as we described, we're taking a break from doing game deep dives, and we're looking at some gaming one-hit wonders. Games that came out, they were a big hit, and then there was no sequel, there was no follow-up, there was nothing. I actually find that we're kind of hard pressed to find more current ones that were one-hit wonders, because it seems that gaming sequels for a lot of it is just the way things go now. It's like, okay, here's the next one. Let's pump out another fucking Call of Duty.
Did it make $5? Fuck it, we're doing it again.
Can we put microtransactions in it?
That, or you get a remake or a remaster or a
mobile version.
A lot of remasters. Yeah, I'm always amazed at some of the games that get green lit for a sequel, and then other ones that never get another one. You're like, how? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like
my favorite are the games that don't even need a remake or a remaster, that were just on the last gen, or
the current.
You can still play it on the current one, and it just gets another one. I don't know how The Last of Us has gotten so many renditions of itself already.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a sequel. That's just like a keep plastering it in your face.
I get it. It's a great game. Okay, we all get it. Can you stop making it for the 5th time? Just
it's been 3 years. How do we have 6 remakes?
Yeah.
Hey man, all the GTA and Skyrim fans are very upset right now.
Oh, you're finally awake.
You can finally play Skyrim on a calculator. Fuck.
Yeah, when you get unplugged from the Matrix, that's what you hear. You enter the scene from Skyrim, be like, "Oh, thank God, you're awake."
You're awake. I thought I finally escaped this.
Yeah. Okay, so
worse.
Oh my God.
Terrible.
I'm gonna go first with one, and this one came out in 2011. I started it. I think I actually played it on both PC and PS3, 4,
PS3 probably.
End PS3, early PS4. Yeah. Bulletstorm.
Oh, I had that one too.
That was on my list.
Great game.
Great game. Over the top, some interesting mechanics with that pull rope.
You could boot people, right?
Yeah, you could pull them in and then kick them into shit.
But it was all about combos. It was building a score. It wasn't about Call of Duty. It was about scores, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to build up a score on a level as well as playing through this story. So there was more arcadey aspects to it, but some of the combos that you could make and trick points, and it was a load of fun for just being a very feral shooter.
I also remember it being super offensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Games in the 90s were never offensive. They never got away with anything blatantly racist or offensive in a game.
No.
This was more just
game kind of getting Yeah, it was just like, how many F-bombs can we put in a game? Like, it kind of hit that point where they're just like, how like vulgar can we make it?
Yeah. But
to me, that game was them like trying to do like Duke Nukem, but for the new age.
Yes.
That's totally the vibe I got.
That's fair.
The funny thing with this though is that studio, that developer, People Can Fly, they shifted to the Gears of War series.
What if I could use a new Gears of War? What the hell happened to that?
I mean, I wouldn't call Gears of War a one-hit wonder, but
no.
Every time Dave Bautista says that he wants to do a live action movie of Gears of War and be the main guy, I'm like, that's the perfect casting.
Yeah, easy.
Who else are we gonna get? The Rock?
Easy.
Like, come on.
Like,
No.
he would be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember when The Rock did that stupid Doom movie and it was so fucking awful?
At least he was the bad guy.
They had an entire scene in that movie that was first person.
That was the
awesome.
only good part.
That was like
movie.
the best part of that movie. Like that was the defining quality of that movie.
Tangent.
Well, boys, we're 5 minutes in and already on a tangent. It's great. It's great. Good job. Good job.
We did it.
I don't know if it's a record, but it's a good job.
It's on brand.
I have one that I kind of wish, not that it necessarily got a sequel. I wish it was made now, because I think it would have gotten way more attention than it did at the time, especially now that we're in this new age where we're getting a Borderlands movie and a Minecraft movie, all to the theme of Jack Black, who also wants to do a Red Dead Redemption movie. I am talking about Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
Jack Black playing essentially himself as what appears to be a Guitar Hero character.
Yeah.
Like the graphics looking identical. Gets sent back in time. I can't remember what happens in the game, but
I can't remember the premise, but
he uses his guitar as an axe, and because it's his axe, and it's just like a platform RPG voiced by Jack Black,
which is amazing.
It was a fun game.
Good.
we were talking about that game with Chris and Mark from GameCon too, weren't we?
Yeah.
We brought that up. Yeah, that game was great. I don't think it got a lot of love when it first came out. I feel like.
No.
It was kind of
the problem was it came out during the time of like the Guitar Hero craze, and so I think people were ready to associate it with that style of game. And then when it wasn't, it was like a platformer, and they're like, "Well, what the fuck is this?" Like,
What did I pay for?
It's pretty much like a Spyro, Crash Bandicoot type game. Like, right? It's just like one of those, of that generation of like those great platformer RPG games, and it's just like it just kind of fell through the cracks.
It definitely had its moments though. Like it.
Oh, it was a fun game.
his animation was cool. But I will forever and always stand at this. I've talked about this in ad nauseum, but like I want another Legend of Dragoon. Like I am so sad there was never another one, because like the game was so great, especially for its time as like a competitive person towards or competitive game towards Final Fantasy and like all of that. So I was bummed that never got another one.
That's what I'm surprised with. It's kind of the comeback of some of these turn-based RPGs. Like we got Sea of Stars and some of those. I don't see why they couldn't bring that game back.
It's had like online petitions to get another to get another game.
For it, honestly,
the one studio that did Age of Colossus was like gonna do was talking about having it as like their next kind of IP work on and whatever. And I was like, please, but I just never nothing's ever come into fruition. It makes me so sad because it's so good. And when it came on, like when it got re-released there onto PS5, it's like a PS Plus situation. Like I was like, oh, are they testing the waters again? Like, is that what this is? Like, please, people play this. Like, fuck. Like, I need a new one.
Buy it 3 times.
Like, please.
Well, there's another older one too. Like, I'm not sure if this necessarily. Yeah, I'm not sure if this necessarily counts, but like, I'm surprised they haven't made another Final Fantasy Tactics game.
Well, there's like the Tactics.
There are some other ones, right?
Like they have those offshoots and whatever. But you're not wrong. Like
with the Final Fantasy like grandiose umbrella, that you have, I'm surprised they haven't made another one.
And those are the perfect games for the Nintendo Switch and stuff like that. Like that's like the perfect handheld kind of situational game.
Yeah, not graphically difficult.
No.
Not going to make your Switch explode.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about stick drift. Just
not going to melt a battery from it.
But I'm playing The Witcher.
Yeah, the game that I had written down. I don't know if any of you guys played it, but I loved this game when it initially came out. Was Sleeping Dogs on the PS3.
Oh,
Okay.
that was like the tech one, right? Where you could like scan people and like scan their phone and shit.
No, you're thinking Watch Dogs.
I'm thinking of Watch Dogs.
No, that was
correct.
Watch Dogs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Sleeping Dogs was like Grand Theft Auto, but in Hong Kong. And you played a Chinese American police officer that went undercover into the mob, and you're trying to like take it out from the inside out, basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember them being kind of similar. Like, I remember them coming out at similar times, and everyone's like, I don't know what the big difference here is.
Yeah, well, the cool thing was, like, you know, at a glance, it was very Grand Theft Auto-ish. You know, you can steal cars, you can fight people on the streets, you know, you can grab guns and whatever else. But
So Edmonton.
Oh my Lord. This game
be
didn't have
careful with that as we get ready to go there. And
Yes, I know we have to be careful.
Yeah, lock your shit
This game
up.
doesn't
Yeah.
have as many potholes, Kyle, so it might not be as accurate.
it's no
Potholes
North
are-
Winnipeg, but you know,
Potholes or plot holes?
Potholes. Yeah, the defining thing about this game was the combat was like Batman Arkham Asylum. So
sick.
like anytime you got into like a giant group of guys that wanted to beat the shit out of you, they'd come with like bats and machetes and all this other stuff. And like you could smash people's heads into like freezers and cabinets and like
Ooh.
doorways, and like the finishers
Batman.
were fucking nuts. Yeah. Like it was crazy what you could do with the hand-to-hand combat in this. And the story honestly is super underrated. It actually had a very good story. So yeah, surprised that one never got a sequel. I think it went through like 3 or 4 different publishers. You know, guys getting bankrupt, and then other publishers coming in and buying the rights for it, and like I think it changed hands so many times that
got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, a sequel could just never work after that.
Where was it set? Was it set in America?
No, it was set in Hong Kong.
See, I could see that also being a problem when you're getting into a game like that, set in China. Like it's the same issues that Disney has, right? Like when they want to do something and they're like, China's like,
Nope.
I don't think so.
It's valid. Yeah, that's the valid.
We want to do this. I don't think you do.
Let's try again here.
Yeah, but yeah, I honestly though, just the last thing I'll say on it, we need more games with Arkham Asylum type combat, because it never gets old. I love that combat system.
I mean, any of the Arkham games, they were just any of those, right? Just keep making
absolutely.
Arkham games. Like, don't
Don't do Suicide
Did they kill
Squad.
Batman in Arkham? I can never remember. Did he die in the last one?
Well, whatever the Suicide Squad did to him, because that's like part of that universe.
But nobody knows because nobody played that game.
Well, Jordan did. But
I did, and I don't want to talk about it.
I think, you know what? I think if they did a Daredevil game in the style of like Arkham,
Oh, that'd be sick.
it would go so well.
I'm pretty
the
sure
subtitle
we've
of
talked
Spider-Man.
about that in a previous season. I'm almost positive.
I feel like we have to. Yeah.
Guaranteed. Yeah, pretty much Arkham and the Insomniac Spider-Man games, like those are your baseline.
Yeah, absolutely. Like superhero.
Those are the chef's kiss of battle systems, like for that style of game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Superheroes.
No kids.
So, speaking of one-hit wonders and our musical talents that Daryl led us in with, I feel inclined to take an early break. I feel like we need to fire up the jukebox for the first time this season.
Ooh, baby!
Gotta Fonzie the jukebox.
Just Fonzie that shit.
It's that spirit in the sky.
Spirit in the sky.
Nice, Daryl.
Yeah.
All right, Trevor, take it away.
Good enough.
Jukebox.
All right. This week I had a couple. I had a bit of a honorable mention this week. We discussed it earlier in the season. You know, there's a game Kyle is really looking forward to. Skull and Bones.
Oh.
Kyle just it wasn't the quadruple A game we were all wanting.
Sad.
But obviously that made me go back. I'm thinking sea shanties. I'm thinking the pirate life. And I'm like, what? We might have talked about this before, but like, what would Kyle really appreciate? And it's that game that we all know and love. And if I'm not talking about Assassin's Creed, fuck that game. That game's awful. We're talking about the Return to Monkey Island, everybody.
Nice.
Oh, you had me there for a second.
I did. So there was a remake of that game, like literally called The Return to Monkey Island, that they did. I think it came out 2023, and they kept and updated a lot of the music for that. And if you haven't played it, if you're younger and if you've never played that game, the music is super chill. And there's a lot of like, it's so funny because it's like old school pirate, right? So it's like you've got a lot of like kind of like Frenchy classic
like Caribbean,
music. But then mixed with like Caribbean, you'll get like some steel drums and stuff like that in there. And there's some really good kind of just like chill out vibes in that series. So that's my first one. That's just kind of my honorable mention, mostly just to fuck with Kyle.
Or insult on the old shanty wound.
But the one I did want to talk about is a whole game series, and unfortunately we haven't played this together. I wish we have. And I would normally play this with my wife, except it's not local co-op. It is only online co-op, and that is the We Were Here series.
Oh.
So We Were Here, very similar to like I don't want to say a Nancy Drew game, kind of like an escape room meets It Takes Two, where you are two explorers and you have walkie-talkies and you kind of get split up and you can only use your walkie-talkies to solve things obviously together from two sides of a puzzle to get through it. So it's, another one of those communication ruining friendships kinds of games. There's I think there's like 3 or 4 of them. It's from Total Mayhem Games, and the soundtrack for it is awesome. They've got, like I said, 4 or 5 games. They're all a little bit different, but they have really good, like, because there's times where you're just trying to figure out puzzles probably for hours on end, that there's just like some really good, like, ambiance music, just some good background, like kind of themed, but just kind of chill hangout music. Sometimes
it's not like more frantic, like the timer's going. Like
no, I would definitely call it more like RPG, like Final Fantasy RPG adventuring on the map music.
Okay.
So sometimes it's a bit spooky. Other times it's kind of fun and light. But they've got their whole series is on Spotify, probably also on Apple.
Nice.
So yeah, like I said, 4 or 5 games worth of music on there, and they're all really, really good. And I definitely want to check out the game. It just sucks I can't play local co-op. So
it's dumb when a game does multiplayer but not local. That never makes sense.
What the point of it is that you have to communicate, and so it's like I get it as split screen. You could like kind of cheese it and do stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm sure there's mechanics sort of like in It Takes Two where you kind of force both people to be doing something at the same time. So it's not like you can like work 2 controllers to beat the game.
No pixies.
Not that you'd want to.
No peeking.
But I think there's just that extra
part of the game
blinder.
install. Yeah, part of the game install is like a half
sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Tape it to the little
cardboard
CRT.
that's attached to your TV.
Yeah, they've got a diagram on the TV. Tape it on this line, please.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would be a good one for the podcast to check out so we can scream at each other and try and solve clues.
The old cardboard on the TV divider during GoldenEye. Those were
The throwback
days.
days.
Yeah.
So, Trev, what was the name of that series one more time?
It's called We Were Here.
We Were Here.
Yes.
Will
And
it
there's,
be
like I
less
said,
stressful
a couple
than Overcooked?
subtitles. Yes. Most of them I saw didn't seem to be like heavily timer focused. I would say it was more of like an escape room kind of game where you're like, you got to get this clue and connect it to this door type thing. But each person has their own information to get to the final solution.
Intriguing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's
So
cool.
good communication exercise if you want to try it out.
If you want to try, yeah.
Yeah.
How gutsy are you feeling with the person you're playing games with? Try
I
this.
like it. I like it.
Okay. So bring her on back now. We're bringing it back to some one-hit wonders, and this one game is kind of special. Also, like 2011, year of one-hit wonders. This game, it came out, and then the studio fucking shut down
Ooh,
because of like poor working conditions, and it just fell apart.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. I played this game. It was actually quite a bit of fun, and it was like different than the usual game because it was set in like LA in the late 40s, right? I'm talking about LA Noir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
See?
So good. Meh.
You never catch me, Papa.
It was such a fun game, and it was something different. I still like there's still memes from it where like press X to doubt.
Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's where that came from, was LA Noir, and it was a ton of fun. You got to roam around like late 40s.
It is an underrated game. Like
Yeah.
I'd say overall.
Because that was one where you play a police officer and you're like solving mysteries, right?
Yes.
Because there was
You're
that
like the
weird.
detective cop, like those days of like, which was awesome.
Because there was kind of that weird stretch of that where there's LA Noir and then there was like Rain.
Heavy
And there was
Rain.
like Heavy Rain. Yeah, there was like a couple
That
like
was the other one I was going to bring up.
sleuth. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
couple of
me
these
too.
like sleuth games that all kind of came out at the same time. And I was like,
Yeah.
what's this like detective theme we've got going on right
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Heavy Rain came out in 2010.
Yeah.
That one was on the PS3, I believe.
Yeah.
Was that like the years of like Sin City in those movies? Like, is that like a?
I think so.
I feel like
yeah, I think Sin City was like 2008, so that checks out. It's around.
So like all those things kind of like coincide as like the trend or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
Before
the cool-
superheroes really picked up, it was like super
Yeah.
cops.
Super
Yeah,
cops.
but this, yeah.
The
this
cool
one-
thing about LA
Sorry, go,
Noir was like, I feel like that was the first game where motion capture really started to kind of jump to the forefront for video games, because all of the promotional and like all of the conversation leading up to the release of that game was talking about like the fidelity of like the facial captures and like the movements of characters, and you had to like you be interrogating a guy and like, oh, what is he doing with his eyebrow? Is he quivering? Like you'd have to really pay attention to that sort of stuff.
Oh, I saw him twitch.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't.
you know, and,
Don't.
and like, and obviously
Is
motion
that his
capture.
tell or does he have Tourette's?
She just got a tick. That's all.
Yeah,
Is that a glitch?
He's nervous. He's just nervous. That's all.
It's all that lead paint he's been eating. Just a little bit of a tick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like motion capture has been around for a while. It's not new, but it was just cool to see.
No,
like,
they named a character after motion capture in Mortal Kombat one year. His name was Mocap.
Yeah.
He was just he looked like Stryker, but he had balls all over him.
Just had the big fucking balls everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Classic.
Would you consider Heavy Rain to be a one-hit wonder, Kyle?
I would.
Well, they're not direct sequels, but like they've made other games.
But like we're talking about like
a specific game title.
Specific title.
There's no sequel to it. There's
Heavier Rain.
Yeah, the heaviest rain. Chocolate rain.
Ooh.
Purple Rain.
Yeah, so like heavy rain was another one that was very tough. Like it was
dark too. It was fucked
It's
up.
a hard game.
You were experiencing this like murder investigation
It's one of
through the eyes of like 4 different people on like different sides of it, and it was all. I remember playing it.
It is one of those games though that you play once and you'll never play again after you get the.
Oh yeah.
Once you see the ending and the twist and everything.
Like,
Yeah, like
no
I don't think you
back.
can go back and replay it. No.
It had multiple endings though.
One good ending.
Did it?
Yeah, fair.
Well, it's the same. I mean, they're the same studio that did like Detroit Become Human, right? Like there's different, if you are really into that game, they at least provide those additional endings, and like sort of like you think of like a Baldur's Gate or any RPG, where like this time I'm going to be evil, or this time I'm going to make these decisions.
Yeah.
Which is good. At least they take the time to do that. And you don't just come to the same conclusion no matter what. It's the same ending, but in a different color.
Yeah. Like the Telltale series sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. I think I have an epic one here that everyone here has guaranteed played and guaranteed would want a sequel. And I wish they would make it, but it's been overshadowed because it's a fucking Nintendo IP and it's not Mario. So they're just kind of squashing it. And that is
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh.
Can you imagine a new Diddy Kong Racing? Like they've taken so many aspects of that game and put them into Mario Kart in terms of like swapping vehicles and some of that stuff. But Diddy Kong was so much better as a one-player game.
Yes.
It was just so good. You had
We've
boss
talked about
fights
this before.
It's so many times ad nauseum.
Yeah.
We've talked about Diddy Kong Racing so many times.
We know it's a better mechanically built game. It just didn't have the same like reception because I mean half the characters that you could choose were people didn't really know who the hell they were. Like
unless you like really watch some of the shows, I can't even remember if some of those characters were even related to like the Donkey Kong show or anything. You're like, who's this fucking crocodile? Like, who is this person?
yeah.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Crunch?
Yeah.
And like
King Crunch.
For like the mouse. I'm trying to remember all the characters, or the squirrel. Same thing.
Timber,
Was the squirrel
yeah.
Conker?
It looks
the
similar.
tiger. Like
the tiger.
you could definitely like would think that Conkers was the squirrel. Like you would definitely think they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know. That to me was the downfall. Is like they didn't lean in hard enough on Donkey Kong characters, like just being all the different apes, like from the Donkey Kong show,
Which is
like,
pretty funny because they did make like the Donkey Kong RPG game where they had like Lanky Kong and they had
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
was it Daisy Kong? Like Cranky Kong. Like there's all of them, right? Like
there's a bunch of them.
Funky Kong. It's a good show. That was another early era 3D animation show.
But it was actually good. It was a good show. It was simple, but it was really good. I watched the show.
I would love that if they keep building Mario Kart as this like not necessarily free to play, but this like ongoing IP that they just add to over and over, and you buy new carts and players every once in a while, and wanted to bring in something slightly different as more of a almost like an RPG racer.
Yeah.
I would totally do that. Because I mean, there's still aspects there. Like this is something that even got brought into the new Hot Wheels. They've got like boss battle races, right? Crazy. Where you have to like fight something. It's much simpler. It's even more simple than Diddy Kong was from 30 years ago. But yeah, just a game I would 100% pick up.
I would too. I hope they do something with that, like, because Mario Kart never stops being popular or like a must pick up Nintendo game. So I don't know why they wouldn't just lean in on that a little bit harder. Just to your point, like Mario Kart 8 or Infinite or whatever you want to call it is like the ever evolving IP right now. Like if you're not going to make another one immediately, then fuck, just make a Diddy Kong Racing and
heaven forbid you make sales on something else.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, like
it's
have
still
the
your IP.
Have the sort of like, you know, racing story tale, like in the like in Team
Crash Team Racing,
like Crash Team Racing, like do something on that front where you have to drive around the map and then go to the race and win it. And like whatever.
Bring back gated doors and gates.
Yeah.
Bring back you need 20 stars, 20 keys, whatever to get through this door.
To get to the next section. Yeah.
That holds a dear place in my heart.
Pay $9.99.
Yeah,
that does not hold a place in my heart.
No, fuck that.
That holds a place in hell. Like that is.
That and unlockable characters. Like to me, racing games and fighting games are both the perfect genres for unlockable cast. You know, let me win this cup. Let me beat this boss, and I get a brand new character and a new cart and like a new something. You know,
give me some silhouettes with question marks. I want that shit to come and make me figure out what they are.
That was like the best part of playing Smash Bros. Just a couple of years ago for me. I was just like, oh man, here we go. Like I have to unlock all these people again. I was like, this is it. This is the grind I'm in for. Like, let's go. Like it makes you, when you do that, it makes you play as other people too. Like it actually makes you diversify what you're doing as as playable characters. And I think that is a service that we've strayed away from for the wrong reason. So
money.
Yeah.
100%. Because in those games, a lot of the time it's to unlock this character, you need to beat the level as this character. So it's like, well, shit, I need to completely change who I'm playing as to unlock this. Like, I agree with Daryl. That's something that we've lost along the way, and it needs to come back.
Yeah. I have one thing. It's not really like a one-hit wonder because there are iterations, but it's been gone for so long, and I'm so sad about it. Is Gauntlet. Like, like I would love a new Gauntlet, or something that throws back
just like an arcadey dungeon crawler.
Yeah, man. Like because that to what Jonathan just said, there's levels where you had to beat it as the barbarian to unlock the Minotaur and like classes and systems like that. I think that would be a great comeback game. With this large success of like Diablo 3 and even out the gate with Diablo 4, like the people are willing to play those top down kind of arcadey like battles and go through levels, and that was such a good game with like some secrets, and you had to kill something from afar, you could get the collectible, you had to like find secret items, and man, Gauntlet was a great game, and they gotta bring that shit back.
I'm hoping we're kind of on this like reboot. A lot of people are remaking like side scroll platform style games. I don't know if it's just because they're simpler or if it's just kind of getting like this resurgence. I'm hoping that like then brings it back around to some of these other genres that we've kind of like forgotten about.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you know what we should bring back?
Platforms.
Yeah.
3D platforms.
I remember Gauntlet Legends in the arcade cabinets. I remember walking into movie theaters and I'd see a Gauntlet Legends cabinet, and I'd be lost for like an hour before the movie started because I'm just
amazing.
It was the best. Like those games
pumping coins into Gauntlet.
Yes.
And the other thing about that, like to your point, the other thing about that's one of the only accessible, like you can beat that game at the arcade games. Like, like where the difficulty is not ramped up so high at the arcade so that it's taking all your money. Like those are accessible games. If you had a crew of 4, like you could actually do some damage like in that game and play through it quite a bit. Yeah. Classic arcades.
Yep.
That's
another question now.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Jordan, finish your thought before we...
I was going to bring it to a different game on the Gauntlet point, so let's... I don't want to go too far off course.
All right. Well, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Is there any franchises that you wish had stayed a one-hit wonder instead of?
Oh God,
Just
I didn't do enough research for that one.
If there's anything I wish just stopped.
Just stayed as one.
Like something that they just fucking ruined.
Yeah.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
like
Past.
like Modern Warfare 2, like Modern Warfare 1,
2009.
Modern Warfare 2, and done. And
Stop.
that was peak. That was peak gaming back then for that franchise.
You blew it.
And I love Modern Warfare 2019. I really enjoyed that one, but like still just stop.
Oh,
Do us all a favor.
it's
Fucking stop.
I do have one, and like some people love this game, but Final Fantasy X-2 was garbage. Like you should have just left it at Final Fantasy X. Like I played through Final Fantasy X-2 to it's the sequel to the game where you just play as Yuna and Riku and Pain, which was like a new character for that game itself. It's the most Japanime thing that Final Fantasy has ever done, like in the game where you're changing costumes to change your class throughout the battles, and it was like Sailor Moon mixed with Final Fantasy. The storyline and the love story in Final Fantasy X was so good, and like had such a heart-wrenching but heartwarming finish to it, and they kept it going and created a different ending. Oh, I was like, what you ruined it? Like you ruined the story. And Yuna was so weird. She went from being this amazing priestess, summoner, and was on this righteous path and had to make hard choices throughout the story. And now she's a rebel. In the next game, it's fuck that.
Soft girl.
Yeah.
Were you even paying attention?
This sounds like this was a boardroom argument, and the person in charge was like, "Fine, you go over there and do your game, and you go over there and do your game. I will just release them both and see what the people say."
Yeah, I didn't understand that one when it came out. I was like, "What is this? I don't like this anymore."
Yeah. There's we talked about Call of Duty. I think Assassin's Creed should have stopped after Black Flag.
Yeah, they just keep going.
They are making so many of them, and it's lost the plot.
Well, what they're doing at this point
for the Creed.
What they're doing at this point is they should essentially just stop. Easy there, Rocky. Essentially what they've got to start doing, they've just got to stop including combat. They're pretty much just making educational games at this point, being like, look at this, we made ancient civilization, right? You're like, cool.
Here's Egypt.
If the consumer's arms, if the customer's arms weren't wide open,
show you
they wouldn't keep making all these titles.
Oh my god,
nice.
It's true. People keep playing them. I just wish they got back to the story of you're trying to break out of the
Knights Templar, and
well, and you were in the society and you're going back in time, and they're just fuck it, you're just an assassin at some point in time. You're like, cool.
You're a Viking assassin now. You're an Egyptian assassin now.
And that's the sad thing, is it was always leading towards a final showdown between the Creed and the Templars in modern day. It was always going to be, at some point, this story is going to lead us into a modern day Assassin's Creed. And then they just fucking ditched that halfway through, and they were like, okay, we're just going to pick cool time periods that we want to make a game in. And you're an assassin there, and go. It's okay, that doesn't make any sense. We give up trying
to make this shit work.
Yeah. It's basically it's like the MCU writers trying to figure out how the TV shows and the movies connect. And they're like, fuck it, we can't figure it out. Just pump that shit out.
Multiverse. Multiverse.
Time travel. Multiverse.
Resets. alternate dimensions. It's like, fuck. Just say you give up, guys. Just
Yeah. Just say you lost track. Yeah, you lost track and couldn't figure it out.
We fired those writers in the last like budget boost, so we don't know what to do anymore.
Give us a couple years to regroup again.
Yeah. I just think of the Charlie Day meme of him trying to connect all the dots and going fucking crazy. Like that's the Assassin's Creed boardroom right now. Is like, how the fuck do we connect all these games together?
Imagine if they brought out a new one and then just went right back to that story, but somehow found a way to wrap it up with all the other games.
Oh, fuck.
With like flashes to the other games. It'd be like, this meant this. And you're like, holy shit, like someone solved the riddle.
Yeah. You just need a very smart person to come in that can figure that shit out.
Some very creative writer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take all of this and tie it into one story somehow.
One game I am going to mention it because it's going to kill me if I don't. The one game I'd love to see come back similar to Daryl and Gauntlet is Final Fight from the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Generation.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Like, side scroller beat 'em up games. Streets of Rage 4 a couple years ago proved that those games still they can exist in today's day and age.
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Like, oh man, a Final Fight game would be fucking mint. I would love to see that series come back.
Yeah, and like they use the characters in that in those games in other fighting games now. Like,
Really?
yeah, like
one,
which
one
is
of
wild
the,
to me.
One of the
Who owns
boss
Final
fights, Capcom.
Oh,
One of the boss fights in Final Fight 2 on the Super Nintendo was a Street Fighter character.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, like I didn't realize that until much later in life when I went back and replayed it again. But like, it was just fucking cool. One of the
Just
boss
bothering
fights
his name just like was in my head and just escaped me. But he's the blonde guy with the red hat and the ponytail.
Yes,
but he's he's in King of
got
Fighters.
The staff. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like all the time. He's in King of Fighters, and
So
I'm like,
good.
what? Like, can you just bring back Final Fight? Like, can you just bring him back? That is a good call.
I'd love
I think
to see that come back.
beat 'em ups are timeless.
oh yeah.
I don't need platformers. I don't really.
No.
I
There's
don't need
obviously a
side-scroll
market for
platforms.
it.
I do love a
People
good
are playing
platformer,
it,
but
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not
I prefer
for
a
me
3D
anymore.
platformer, not necessarily like a Metroid or like any of those side scroll ones, but there's a lot of them.
There's benefits to both.
Yeah.
The new Prince of Persia game, like or whatever, looks pretty good for a side scroller.
So I think that just about does it. I feel like obviously we missed some. Obviously, I hope that anyone listening would like to chime in on this and tell us, is there a game that we missed that was a huge one-hit wonder? Was there a game that you wished would have stayed a one-hit wonder because the rest of the series was downhill?
Booty cheeks.
Tell us. We love our feedback. We love seeing and reading reviews. We even went back in our Apple Podcast reviews and hoping now that our buddy from Detroit here likes our audio a bit better.
We're trying.
Loud enough.
Not quiet anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Good enough,
we
okay?
appreciate. Yeah.
Nobody said we were great. We were
It's a
just good
process.
enough.
Trust the process. Oh, you're in Detroit.
Oh,
Oh. Well, the
You got
Lions are good at least.
true. Yeah, the Pistons got a long way to go.
Yeah. Yikes. But anyways, this isn't Sports Talk Radio. So thanks again for listening. Please leave us reviews. Talk to us on social media. We always talk back.
That's why our parents got so mad at us.
That's a gift.
And a curse.
Depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.